Hello and welcome, this is Flavia and I appreciate you watching. Today I will show you 3 quick and easy ways for creating background panels for your note cards. Then we will create lots of note cards for many different occasions and I hope you enjoyed this video. The first option for quickly creating a background panel is by using watercolor resist paper. These pages are from a 6x6 paper pad by Spellbinders. This paper pad comes with 6 sheets and 3 different designs to choose from. These pages are heavyweight paper and they have these beautiful translucent printed designs that we can use either as they are or sort of bring these designs to life by ink blending over them, which is what I will do. I will be using Ranger Distress Oxide ink pads and I will have the names of these ink pads on the screen if you're interested. But you can really use any ink pads that you might already have. The key here is to overlap the colors so you can get a really nice blended result. For this first panel, I will start by ink blending a section in the center of this panel. Then I will add another color on top, overlapping it with the color in the center. After that, I will add the third color at the bottom, also overlapping this color with the one in the center. Once that's done, I will repeat this process one more time so I can get a really nice blended result, and then wipe off the ink that is sitting on top of the translucent design with a clean cloth. To add some sparkle to some of my watercolor resist paper, I will spray golden shimmer on top once I'm done ink blending. There is no right or wrong way of ink blending these panels and you can do whatever you feel more comfortable with. You can use any ink pads or ink blending tools that you might already have. Just make sure that you overlap the colors and that you wipe this panel off once you're done so these white designs really stand out. Another great way to quickly create your background panel is by using patterned paper. It really is okay if you do not want to work that hard and try different and sometimes time-consuming techniques just to create your background panel. Pattern paper can be a lifesaver, and here is a trick for stepping it up a bit when using it. We can also add texture to these pages by dry embossing them. By the way, these beautiful pages are from Spellbinder's Serenade of Autumn 6x6 paper pad. This paper pad contains 20 pages with gorgeous designs, and I love the ones with golden foil accents. On the screen, I have the name of each embossing folder that I'm using, and you can also find in the description box down below a supply list for all products used in this video if they are still available, so you can check it out later. And here we have the third option for quickly creating a beautiful background panel. These are 6x6 foiled vellum by Spellbinders. In one paper pad, we get 6 sheets of translucent vellum with 3 beautiful foiled designs. I am crazy about this paper pad and I would definitely be buying more of this. I know there are many crafters who don't really enjoy doing the hot foiling technique, even though they love how it looks, and that is totally fine because not all techniques are for everybody, right? So if you're one of those people, this is definitely a great option for you. With this paper pad, we get to create hot foil projects without the work of actually having to do the hot foiling technique, which can also be a time saver. So now that I have shown you 3 options for quickly creating your background panels, let's create some note cards with them. All of today's note cards measure 5.5 by 4.25 inches, and they all can go inside A2 size envelopes. Some of these note cards will have a portrait orientation and others a landscape like this first one. I dry embossed both sides of my card base by placing it folded inside an embossing folder. This way, both sides will have some texture, which I love, and in order to be able to write a special message inside, I added 2 white panels inside this card base that measures 5.25 by 4 inches. Using a large butterfly-shaped metal plate, I cut a butterfly out of a mahogany color cardstock and another one out of that foiled vellum paper that I showed you a minute ago. Since the adhesive will show through the vellum, I will apply just a thin line of glue in the center of the butterfly, because I know that I will be able to hide this section later with the die cut body for this butterfly. I will adhere the vellum die cut on top of the mahogany color die cut butterfly and then the body for this butterfly on top that I cut out of a mahogany color cardstock. I will also add a smaller butterfly inside for a nice surprise for the recipient. For the sentiment, I cut the word thankful out of this gorgeous golden cardstock by Spellbinders. I actually created 2 butterfly note cards since I like this design so much, and I will show you both note cards at the end of this video. Moving on to the second card, here I will simply adhere a pattern paper to the front of a top folding A2 size card base. I placed it inside of my scoring board on the corner just to make it easier to line up the white card base with this blue panel. To create this die-cut sunflower, I used the Spellbinders Sunflower Serenade die set. I cut it out of a golden cardstock to match the golden design on this blue panel. I did stack a few pieces of die-cut stems for dimension, and I will use adhesive foam in the back of the sunflower. For the sentiment, I cut out the word grateful out of a brown color cardstock. I stacked a few die cuts as well so the sentiment stands out more, and since this is a very thin and delicate die cut, I actually curved it a little bit as I was adhering it to the front panel to better frame the die cut sunflower. Then I used the leftover pieces of that blue paper to cut out a strip that I can adhere to the flap of the envelope just to make it match. This is a great way of using up your leftover pieces so nothing goes to waste, and I actually did this for most of my note cards. I love decorating the envelopes as well, so it matches the note cards that will go inside. Next, we have a watercolor resist panel that I cut to 5.5 by 4.25 inches and glued to a top folding A2 card base. For this one, I used the Spellbinders Autumn Sealed Sprigs die set to cut out these beautiful autumn sprigs and leaves out of Spellbinders Gold and Mahogany color cardstock. I will use strong liquid adhesive to adhere these die cuts to my panel. By the way, to ink blend this green panel, I used Ranger Distress Oxide ink in the color Pine Needles, and then I went around the edges with the color Black Soot. For now, I will only be applying liquid adhesive at the top in the back of the leaves and blooms, and later, after I tie all of the stems together with a ribbon, I will add liquid adhesive in the back of these long stems as well. To add some sparkle, I will go over sections of these blooms with my shimmer pen, and I will add flat pack beads in the center of these blooms. Once I have all of my die cuts glued to the front panel, I will use a piece of golden ribbon to tie all of the stems together at the bottom and then place a die cut bow on top. I will add foam adhesive to the right and to the left side of this bow only, because the center will be placed right on top of all of those stems that I just tied together. To create this die cut bow, I used metal plates included in the Spellbinders Garden Wreath add-on die set. Spellbinders recently released a Build a Wreath collection with great die sets, and I love that with each set we get metal plates to create different types of bows, and they are all just beautiful. I love having all of these options for bows. I actually got a few sets from the Build a Wreath collection, and we will be creating with them on my next video. For the sentiment for this note card, later I will add a thin sentiment strip that I hot foiled using golden foil. For this next note card, I will use this pattern paper that I dry embossed using the Spellbinders Faux Stitch Embossing Folder. This embossing folder is not available anymore, but you can use any embossing folder that you might already have. I cut this blue panel to 4.25 inches tall by 4 inches wide, and I will place a die-cut Happy Birthday sentiment on the bottom right corner. I cut the sentiment out of that golden cardstock by Spellbinders. To cut out the sentiments for today's note cards, I used metal plates included in the Spellbinders Serenade Sentiments die set. There are 18 metal plates included in this set to create sentiments for many different occasions, which is wonderful. It also comes with the shadow plates for each word, which I'm not using today, but I do think it's great that we have that option so we can make the most out of this set. I really like the handwritten style of these die-cut words, and I actually have been using this sentiment set a lot lately because I think it is so elegant. As a final touch, I will add a few sequin butterflies to this panel. To make these sequin butterflies have some dimension, I will fold it in half and then unfold it before gluing them to this panel. I will only add a thin line of liquid adhesive in the center of these butterflies and hold it in place with the help of a self-lock tweezers. Moving on to the next card design, here I have that butterfly watercolor resist paper and a dry embossed panel. I trimmed both panels to 5.25 inches tall by 4 inches wide, and I will cut both panels at once on a diagonal. Then I will adhere the top section of the butterfly panel and the bottom section of the dry emboss panel onto a top folding A2 size card base. To add some sparkle to this note card, I will add a thin strip of holographic cardstock between these two different panel pieces. For the sentiment, I cut out the words best wishes out of that same holographic cardstock, and I will place it on a diagonal following the holographic cardstock strip. Since it was so simple to create this one and the end result was so elegant, I decided to create another version using a different watercolor resist paper and a different embossing folder. For the previous note card, I used the Spellbinders Autumn Serenade 3D embossing folder, and for this one I used the Floral Archway embossing folder to add some texture to the bottom half pieces. For the sentiment, this time I cut out the word thankful out of a piece of black glitter cardstock. By the way, I added the leftover pieces of the watercolor resist paper to the inside of these note cards as well as to the flap of the envelopes to tie everything together and avoid any waste. And here is another quick one for you. For this note card, I simply adhered the pattern paper that I dry embossed using the Spellbinders Floral Archway embossing folder to a top folding A2 card base. For the sentiment, I cut the words best wishes out of an orange glitter cardstock using die plates included in the Spellbinders Serenade Sentiments die set. And to make the envelope match, I simply added a very thin cardstock strip that I cut out of that same glitter cardstock. Super easy, right? And that's the wonder of using pattern paper. For this next one, I will use another watercolor resist panel. Using a rectangular metal plate, I will cut a 5.5 by 4.25 inches panel out of this watercolor resist paper. If you don't have a metal plate to do so, you can simply use a paper trimmer. After that, using a large butterfly-shaped plate, I will cut a butterfly out of the center of this 5.5 by 4.25 inches panel. Then I will set this die-cut butterfly aside for now and adhere this rectangular panel with the negative space in the center right on top of an orange A2 size card base. To do so, I will again place the card base on the corner of my score buddy to make it easier for me to line up the panel with the note card as I glue them together. I will add 5.25 by 4 inches white panels inside where I can write a personal message later. This step is definitely optional, but since I prefer writing my personal messages on white cardstock, this is something that I usually do when my card base is made out of a colored cardstock, especially if it is a dark color. Another reason why I like adding panels inside my note cards is because if my card base is made out of a lightweight cardstock, by adding these two panels inside, it will make it feel heavyweight, which is what I prefer for a card base. I like it better when it feels heavyweight and stands nicely on display. Now I will score this die-cut butterfly right in the center before folding it in half to lift these large wings a little bit before adhering this butterfly to the note card. I cut the body for this butterfly out of a piece of golden cardstock by Recollections, and I will use foam adhesive to adhere this butterfly back in the negative space. I will only add foam adhesive to the center of this butterfly, and I will place a die-cut sentiment right on top on a diagonal. Once I finished creating this note card, I felt that this die-cut butterfly was not standing out enough from the background, so I actually removed it to add another layer of foam adhesive in the back. Then, to finish it off, I added a cardstock strip inside of the note card that I cut out of a leftover piece. So here is a closer look at all of the note cards along with their matching envelopes. I hope you enjoyed this video and felt inspired. If you create something inspired by this video, make sure to tag me on Instagram. I would love to see what you create. If you're interested, there is a supply list of all products used today in the description box down below. Also, make sure to visit my blog for pictures and more information. Thank you so much for spending this time with me, and happy crafting!